Todd, thanks for that kind introduction. And before I say anything further, my wife Diana wanted me to make sure that I conveyed her best. She's in California, and where we've been spending most of the winter, and had other obligations. And so she sends her best to our Hoban and Akron community friends. And I have to assure you that the weather differences between here and Palm Springs had absolutely nothing to do with it. Sorry. You know, Patty Bralick, Patty's in the room somewhere, classmate, 77. Remember Brother Leonardo?
Oh, quite well.
I'm having a flashback, Patty, because my freshman year at Hoban in 1973, in speech class, we had Brother Leonardo, and I remember of all the things he told us, those famous 3 B's, which were, of course, be sincere, be brief, and, of course, be seated. And I certainly want to be brief because what's really important is to hear from our leader, our director of our program, Jason Zick, who you're going to hear in a little bit, and one of his students. And his energy and passion for this program is going to be quite evident and also quite contagious. And I have to say it's indeed humbling to be here in front of all of you, some really incredible leaders here in this community who've done so much for the community. And it means a lot for me for you to recognize this opportunity for our students and for this community by your support and sharing your time. I'm truly humbled by your presence, so thank you. Your presence is a testament not only to your support for the Hoban values, but also for the ambitions and the aspirations we have of teaching our students about how to compete, grow, and thrive in the 21st century global workplace. And all those jobs, many of which are brand new, and some jobs haven't even been created yet but will be. I can't think of a better program here at Hoban, between the Innovation Center and the rest of the curriculum in the STEAM, the Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, and Math program, combined with this, how much better our students will be prepared for that challenging but yet bright future for them. I was asked recently about what drove me to get involved with this, and aside from my wonderful picture there as a graduate of Hoban that you just saw, I graduated from the University of Akron, and I had the experience early on of joining up with an entrepreneur here in downtown Akron in the early 80s. Founded his own firm, and I was the second person brought on. And somehow, through some very challenging times, through a lot of near misses and some failures, that little startup company in downtown Akron eventually grew to about 40 employees. And then in 1995, it was acquired by a much bigger company, Charles Schwab. Fast forward to, let's see, it was July of 2017, where after 30 some odd years with the small startup company and then Schwab, my wife and I made the decision to return back to our roots here in Akron after living in California for some time. And that's why I'm here. Because looking back, I had an amazing set of experiences and learnings in a small company, and what it took to get that startup company to survive, to prosper, and to learn. And I accelerated that development as part of the Charles Schwab organization and leadership development. And these are the very attributes that when I came back to Hoban and joined the board, and I saw the initial vision for this innovation center that you're all gathered in right now, it became clear that there was an opportunity to take it and put the exclamation point on by sponsoring the Center for Leadership and Entrepreneurial Studies. And so we did. I can share with you that my most cherished times in my career were those routine one-on-ones I had with Charles Schwab himself, a true entrepreneur. He goes by Chuck, actually, and I can tell you that in the truest sense, he started with nothing. He failed many times. He had a severe learning disability growing up. And yet, perseverance and his vision ultimately built a company that today has some 26,000 employees, including about 650 employees here in our Richfield Service Center here in Summit County, in Akron area. So I wish I could bottle up and share the insights, the learnings I had from great leaders like Chuck Schwab and many others in our company and in the industry that I had a chance to meet in my career. And that's really what drove me to say, how can we model some of those learnings here at the high school level so these students can be better prepared as they get into college and obviously their careers. You know, the learnings that I had were not taught in the classroom, and that's really what we're ultimately trying to do here, to teach and bring experience into the classroom and integrate with this wonderful program. I want to share with you also that when we first started this, it was just primarily the Entrepreneurship Center, and we didn't have the word leadership in there. And then we got talking about that, and I came to the conclusion that not everybody is wired to be an entrepreneur. In fact, if you really met an entrepreneur or got up close in front, you know as well as I do that they can be weird birds. They think differently. They're wired differently. They have an unbelievable amount of courage in the face of dauntless challenges and insurmountable obstacles, and yet they persevere. But one characteristic that we can take from any entrepreneur who's successful over time are the various common attributes of leadership. I mentioned a couple of them already. Courage. But they also have an innate ability to see the future and see around corners before anybody else does. They view failure not as a label, but as a learning. And they persevere. They have a vision. And they're especially gifted in communicating and influencing others on their vision. They're the best communicators we've seen. But ultimately, their leadership is a service-oriented leadership, where leadership is about service to others and ultimately making a better place for others in our community, if not the world. And so it followed that we wanted to incorporate leadership development as a key and a very critical ingredient for this overall program. I want to recognize some of the leaders here that have agreed to serve with me on the advisory board, starting off first with Phil Maynard and Roger Reed, who have been unofficial mentors of mine. I see Phil, where's Roger? I want to acknowledge Roger, right over there. Roger and Phil, you've already done so much for the community, and so your gift of time and helping me shape this vision and support of it is quite meaningful for me and certainly for the students here. But I also want to acknowledge, and I don't think he's here, who's going to try to make it, Bill Considine from Children's Hospital has agreed to be part of our advisory board, as well as Dean Robbie Crovey. I saw him earlier. Is Robbie still here? From the College of Business, and that's really critical because we look to see how we will integrate some opportunities together with the University of Akron and do some really cool things you might even hear Jason speak to tonight. And then finally, rounding out our advisory board, I'm thrilled to announce that Christine Meyer, president of the GAR Foundation, has agreed to be part of our program as well. The last thing I want to share is that many of you have been generous with your time and your talent and your treasure with Hoban. Certainly the families that built the Innovation Center here, the Bill Scala family and the Sente family. And I likewise want to share or make a request too, that if you're so inspired by what you're seeing here, about not just today, but for the future, in order to help us continue to grow this program, in order to help us get to an even higher level of accomplishment for our students, and ultimately to attract more students to Hoban, I'll let you know that we have set aside $100,000 to be used as additional matching contributions for any contributions that are made towards the Leadership and Entrepreneurial Studies Center. So if you're so inclined to share or know others who might want to share and get behind this incredible program that's developing here before our eyes, I know that Mike Domenico will be more than happy to help with any of the details. So with that, thanks again for letting me share my thoughts and my views about this great program and the things going on here at Hoban. Let me now turn to introduce to you the director of this program we were so fortunate to find. Jason Zick has been here, I think, 14 years. He's taught economics and history, outstanding student success records, and I've already talked to some students who just rave about being in this class, Jason. So, we brought Jason on to provide more structure for the program and to, again, build the connections into the community. And we're so grateful for Jason for your leadership. So please welcome Jason Zick, the director of our program.